Welcome back to Making the Madness on YouTube. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Get us 200 subscribers. Let's try to make that the goal by the end of January. We hit 100 subscribers. Make that happen.
That'd be
But
great.
for now, we'll have to settle for just doing some more preview content, and we have one of the best matchups in the ACC. It's going to be Duke at Florida State. This has been the last two games have been fantastic games. Last year, Duke won a really close one against Florida State. And then the previous one, Duke again beat Florida State, but it happened in Zion Williamson got poked in the eye, and then Cam Reddish hit the game winner. We all remember that game. It was one of the more fantastic games. So that's the last time Duke has played uh, at Florida State. It should be another fantastic games. I don't know if we'll get quite the finish that we got in that one, but certainly if we do get something similar to that, this should be an epic game, and certainly one I'm looking forward to at least watching.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at the ACC this season, there's a lot of teams struggling, and Duke is right atop that list. Florida State has been kind of up and down this season, but when you look at Duke, they haven't played in uh, 2.5 weeks at this point since their game against Notre Dame. And then before that, they played 8 days before the Notre Dame game against Illinois. So this is a team that hasn't played a ton. Jalen Johnson is still out. And obviously, that's going to be a big piece. With Jalen Johnson out against Notre Dame, they started Patrick Tapay, the transfer from Columbia, at the 5 spot. He only played about 15 minutes, I believe. So he's still not, the main guy there. The lineup they mostly went with was Jamin Brakefield at the 4 and Michael Hurt at the 5, which is a big problem for defensive reasons. And the size of Florida State, they are the biggest team height-wise in college basketball. They have a ton of athleticism, a ton of speed, a ton of defensive ability. I think they'll be able to stifle Duke a little bit on that end. I don't think Duke's going to be able to score on them inside. They won't be able to get to the foul line. Yeah, they're going to have to shoot the ball well from deep. That starts with Brakefield, who's probably their best shooter. Michael Hurt's a great shooter, too. DJ Stewart needs to play well. And I think this is a game where we need to see some more Wendell Moore just for defensive purposes. But when you look at Florida State, they just lost to Clemson, and then they lost to UCF 2 games ago. And then Gardner Webb gave them a run for their money 2 games ago. And when you just Florida State this season, they've been interesting just to look at because this is just your typical Florida State team. They don't have the most talent, but they're going to find ways to win games with their size and defense. But recently, they've struggled a lot, and that starts with Scotty Barnes, who needs to be more aggressive. He's shooting 42% from the foul line, which is a disaster, and he can't shoot from three. He needs to be more aggressive and put the ball on the floor and try to score that way. And Anthony Polite needs to take more threes. He's 14 for 27 this year. He's got a pretty lefty stroke. He's your typical Leonard Hamilton 3-and-D guy. Anthony Polite needs to, be better in this game. He needs to shoot the ball more. MJ Walker is obviously MJ Walker, but I think Florida State is going to be able to give Duke some problems just with their size and speed, and Duke not having Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, I do think Florida State matches up really well against Duke, especially this year, because like Florida State, if you want to say there's kind of a weakness on the team, it's one offensively, but two, I think this is a year where they will have the advantage, especially inside, because they have Privik, Raekwon Gray, Malik Osborne. They can kind of, I say, you could maybe even take Kaprivika out of the game and go a little bit smaller because Duke won't have the inside presence to kind of match with a Kaprivika, so they certainly have the advantage inside. And neither team really has that good of point guard play. I think Sky Barnes is, solid. He's looking, I think, a little bit almost too much to pass and not enough to score this season, which I'd like him to take more of that leadership role and decide I'm going to try to just beat you by scoring. I think obviously Florida State will have the best player on the court in Sky Barnes. At least the most talented player on the court. Matthew Hurt may be the best, but Sky Barnes has the most talent. MJ Walker certainly, I think, is pretty good as well. He's sometimes inconsistent, but he's been at least better this year. So I think this is a matchup where Florida State has the advantage in really all the spots. And look, no Jalen Johnson for Duke in this game is, I believe, what we're expecting. Matthew Hurt, I think it can step up, but like DJ Stewart's, kind of undersized freshman guard. We don't really know what we'll get of him. We don't really know what we'll get of Jeremy Roach. Uh, Goldwire and Moore haven't been, really providing much offensively. So I think everything in this game just points to Florida State protecting home court. And what is a projected, according to Ken Palm and Hazelmetrics, both have this as an even spread. So it should be a close one. But I think we're both leaning Florida State.
Yeah, I definitely think Florida State wins the home court advantage, even though there won't be fans, I believe, or
I
actually in
think there's
Florida, I
like
think they can.
3,000
Yeah,
fans.
yeah, Florida they can have fans, so that's something to add to it. I think overall Florida State's just a more talented team. I think they're better coached. I think they have more pieces. I think top to bottom they just do everything better than Duke, and I think they'll be able to win this game.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is they don't have that 2-week layoff that Duke has had. So
That's true too.
that's
Yeah.
another factor. So should be a good one. Hoping it's as fun as the last time these two played in this same arena. It'll be hard to live up to that type of game, but should be a fun one, and it'll be definitely one of the matchups to watch on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.